All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Kirk Ray Smith here with you live for the Church Express. Really excited about another opportunity to be here with you guys and be able to spend another great few moments with you for the week. So we're gonna give folks a few moments, as always, to join us here on Facebook Live as well as YouTube Live as we simulcast the Church Express. So again, greetings to all of you who are joining us now, and those of you that will join us even if you're watching this recording. It may be a day or two later, or maybe a week after the original broadcast here. But welcome and thank you for joining me for the Church Express. We are available also here on Facebook. We have our own page, Kirk Smith Unlimited and Associates. You can follow us there on Facebook, YouTube, Kirk Smith Unlimited and Associates as well. Our channel's there. You can also visit our website, which is still a work in progress, at ksmith.com. So at any rate, welcome everyone. Welcome to the Church Express. Welcome to a different time slot. Again, I know we usually start about 10 a.m. and last Sunday and this Sunday we're starting at noon. And again, that may be something that we do probably on a regular basis in the fall, beginning in the fall, but we'll see kind of how things play out between now and then. But with all of that said, let's get lifted, let's get going. So what I want to share with everyone today is I really want to talk about the importance of your name. Your name, you know, how important it is to have a good name, and how critical it is that when people hear your name, when people hear of you, that they have the right thoughts and the right expectations of who you are and what they can expect as a result of their interaction or their time with or and around you. And that's important. I think too often we underestimate the power of having a good name. We underestimate how critical it is that people respect our name and that people understand who we are whenever our name comes up, and not always looked upon as something negative. And all too often we kind of live life and we make decisions and we do things with no regard to how that might impact our reputation, how that might impact our name. And I will tell you that there are many times in our lives where folks will say false things about us, make things up, and they'll try to bring about negativity around our name for whatever reason that happens. And we don't have a whole lot of control over that. I mean, myself personally, you know, people tried to discredit me and say things about me that were not true. That's happened plenty of times in my life, and you know, sometimes on a kind of a lower scale, you know, more of a private scale, and then on a public stage, you know, people tried to discredit me and put me down and accuse me of things that just aren't true, just to kind of again slow my progress or to prevent me from doing something that they disagree with or just didn't want me to succeed at, or whatever the case may be. That happens, but that's more the exception and not the norm. You know, that for the most part, the things that we do around our name, we create for ourselves. And that's not an external thing. That's not something someone else does or has control over. It's what we've done to ourselves that has caused us to be looked upon in a negative light. And again, a lot of that comes from not recognizing or devaluing or not valuing enough the importance of having a good name, that your name means something. And it's not always about popularity, or if your name is spotted all over the news or a billboard or whatever. What I'm speaking of is within your spheres, within your life, within the folks that you spend time around or will spend time around or you desire to spend time around. What do they think of you? And how do you respond to situations? You know, how do you act? Do you act out? Do you lose your cool? Are you known for being dishonest or low when it comes to integrity? Not very good. Your character isn't strong. Whatever the case may be, what do people know you as? Who do they know you to be? You know, what is known of you? What is thought of you? And folks, it absolutely has to matter what people think of us, and we have to invest and doing things and being intentional about ensuring that people are thinking the right things about us in its most basic way, in its most basic form. And I'm not saying that everyone has to love you and think you're amazing and awesome. Well, that's impossible. Everyone cannot and will not think you're amazing or think you're awesome or think you're this great person. That's just not going to happen. That's an unrealistic expectation. That being said, you do have a certain level of control over what people think of you based on your actions. And so whatever control that you do have, it's imperative that you maximize it and that you don't waste the opportunity to give people the right impression of who you are. And a lot of this is based on or predicated on how you act in certain situations. So if you have a bad temper and you go off quickly and you get angry quickly, well, folks are going to notice that, and folks are going to say that about you. I'll tell you this, and this is the truth, that folks will much rather choose to be around someone that they like and that they're comfortable with, more so than someone who may be the most qualified for that job or that particular task. Let me explain. So if you're applying for a job and you're brilliant at what you do, in fact, you're an expert. You're a subject matter expert. People think you're great at it. They think you're amazing at it. You're the best, okay? But if you have a horrible personality and people don't really like you and you're known for being negative or not being ingratiating or welcoming in your behavior, then chances are they won't hire you, not because you don't have the ability or the skill or the talent, but folks aren't comfortable around you. Your personality, your reputation precedes you. On the other hand, you may be a person who may not have all the answers. You may not be an expert per se. You may be missing a few things. There may be a few areas you're not the best at, but people like you generally. They like being around you. You're gracious. You're easy to be around. You're caring. You're fun. Whatever. Then you have a greater chance of getting that job than someone who's the opposite. So the short of it is, we have a way of accepting your shortcomings. We accept the shortcomings of others. We do it all the time, right? And when it comes to our friends, our spouses, boyfriends, girlfriends, we accept their weaknesses because we love them. We accept the fact that there's certain things that they may not be good at, or they may be weak at, or not as strong at. But because we care about them, we'll accept those shortcomings because we like them. And there's something to be said about being likable. Now, I didn't say sell out. I didn't say give up your dignity, give up your core values and morals for people to like you. But I am saying that we have to be deliberate and intentional when it comes to trying to create an environment or create spaces in which people respect us, that people like being around us. Our name is critical. We cannot underestimate the power of having a good name. And you have to make an investment in your name. Don't abandon your name. And your name has to mean something. Listen, if you have children, and if your name rings out, say one of them's going for a job somewhere, and they may be a very good person, but your reputation is one of a bad person, then your child may miss an opportunity because of your reputation. Although your behavior has nothing to do with them, but because your name is mentioned, it can cost others. We have to invest in our name. Your name has to mean something. It has to carry some kind of weight. And you can't ignore the fact that your reputation can either help or hurt you. What people say about you can either help or hurt you. I understand that with God, all things are possible. I understand and I know that He can make a way out of no way. I understand that God, listen, He is the director. He's the orchestrator of our lives. That if we trust Him, He will order our steps and put us in places that we need to be. But with all those promises, with all those truths and every promise of God's word, it's always left. We're always left with some level of accountability and personal responsibility. The things that we have to do to not hinder or get in the way of what God is trying to do in our lives. And oftentimes it comes down to our behavior and our reaction to things and situations, and how we carry ourselves and how we speak and how we act, and all these things can negatively impact what God is trying to do in our lives. It's that simple. It's that simple, folks. That so if it's relationships that you need to repair and apologies that you need to make, then repair those relationships and apologize. You know, if there's things you got to go back and clean up, clean up. And I'm not, again, talking about this popularity and everybody knows you. I'm not talking about on that large scale. Although that could be the case for you someday, depending on where you want to end up in your life and what kind of path God has laid out for you. What I'm talking about is more day to day. When people see your name, when they hear your name, when they see your picture, what comes to mind? What do they think of? You know, what are the streets saying about you? You know, what are they saying about who you are and how you are? When you're in your place of work, what do your coworkers say about you? When you're not around and your name comes up, what comes to people's minds? What do they think about? When your boss, when he or she talks about you or thinks about you, what comes to mind? What are their thoughts? What is it? You know, what's your reputation? What are you known for? Your family, what do they think about? What do they talk about when you're not around? What are you known for? I mean, these are very good questions you should ask yourself. And it couldn't even hurt for you to ask people around you, what do you think of me? When you hear my name, or when you think about me, what comes to mind? What's top of mind when you think about me? That's a very good question to ask. Is what do you think of me? And maybe you might hear some things that you don't like, but what that means is there's stuff that you need to work on. So what's your reputation? What does your name mean? Does your name carry weight? Does your name ring out in a positive way? That is so important. That is so critical to your success, again, now and moving forward, your name. And do you invest in your name? Do you make investments in trying to be better? Do you make investments in trying to create an environment and a space in which people respect you? Are you trying to leave a legacy? So when people use your name and they name drop, you know, does that get them through the door? Does that take them further ahead, or does that push them further back? What do they say about you? And again, we can't control everything. Again, you have some people who will try to slander you and hurt you and say things about you that aren't true and all that. And again, I refuse to be a victim, but I'm a survivor of those things in my own life, of people making up things that aren't true and trying to use whatever machinations they can involve themselves in to bring about harm in my life. How many of y'all know that it did not work? They have failed, and they will continue to fail, because I'm committed to trying to do the right things, trying to make the right decisions, trying to surround myself with the right people, trying to react to things the right way, you know, trying to live the best life that I can live and be the best Kirk Ray Smith that I can be. I commit myself to that process. I commit myself to living that type of life. And I'm not perfect, but I work very hard at trying to ensure that, you know, these certain things I just won't be known for. And that being said, I'm going to maintain my dignity. I'm going to hold on to things that are important to me, my core values. I'm not going to give those away to anyone for any reason. However, I do understand the power of having a good name, and a name that means something. And when your name comes up, what do people think of? What comes top of mind when your name comes up? And how many opportunities in your life have you missed as a result of having a bad name? How many opportunities have you gotten or taken advantage of as a result of having a good name? When you look back over the years, you know, how many decisions can you think of that you made that end up hurting you later on in life, even now? And then again, on the other side of that thought, the opposite, how many decisions did you make years ago that you're now benefiting from as a result of making that right decision? And so you got to look at your name the same way, that people may know you a certain way in certain circles. So say, for example, you know, a certain group of people would say, honestly, they would say, we think Kirk is a great person. He's compassionate. He cares. He's a man of integrity. He's all these great things, and they use all these adjectives. But then another group would say, man, he's the worst person I ever met. He lies. He's dishonest. He's hard on people. He doesn't care about people. People don't matter to him. Again, so you got two groups giving two different opinions, but that's inconsistent, right? And say they're being honest. So that means that you have reflected two types of behavior, two different types of behavior within those environments. That's inconsistent. And so we have to be consistent in our behavior. So you don't want the what the latter group is saying, all these negative things, you don't want that to be the norm or the phrases that people use to describe you. You don't want that, because that will hurt you. Now, you have people who, and again, I've experienced this in my own life, who you're trying to get to do the right thing. You're saying all the right things, and you think you're making all the right decisions, and you're demonstrating all the right behavior because your intentions are all pure and you want what's best for them, but they are committed to opposing you. They're committed to doing everything in their power to work against you. So there's no act that you can act out. There's no words that you can verbalize. There's no behavior that you can illustrate that's going to ever convince them to ever believe in you or anything you're saying or you're doing. Well, that happens. That happens to all of us. That's a reality. But again, that's more of the exception and not the norm. You know that in most cases, in most instances, our behavior and the way that we carry ourselves, the way we handle ourselves in tough situations, the way we respond to adversity, you know, if we choose not to go off, although we may have a right to do that, we choose not to let our tempers get the best of us, although the circumstances may have called for that was if you were ever going to go off, that was the time, and but you refuse to do that. If you resist the temptation to again respond negatively or begin to engage in things that are negative and that are hurtful, when you resist that, then what you're doing is you're making an investment in your name. You're making an investment in your reputation. Your reputation and your name should be more valuable than any riches. You know, there's nothing more valuable than your name, and we have to take that kind of attitude, take on that type of attitude, and take responsibility for our names. And our names have to matter, right? That when people see your name written on a sheet of paper, when they hear someone mention your name, or they see a photo of you and they know who you are, you don't want it to be negative all the time. You don't want it to be, oh man, I can't stand him or her, and they're really this and they're really that. You want to change. You want that narrative to be mostly positive. And even people who don't agree with you, they don't agree with your stances or even your positions on most things, they respect the fact that you're a person of integrity, right? You're a person of good moral character, that you're not the type of person that would hurt other people. You're not the type of person that would engage in behaviors that would hurt others or be creepy around, like for example, a lot of guys, he's creepy, he's this, he's that, a lot of women would say that. And maybe the guy heart may be pure and there's nothing about him that's nefarious or negative, but his mannerisms, the way he acts, he does creepy things. Well, that should matter to you, that you don't want to be known as a creep. You don't want to engage in behaviors consistent with a creep, right? You want to do things that people feel safe around you and comfortable around you. Again, put the work in as to what your name means. And when your name is said, what kind of thoughts come to top of mind to the hearers of your name? What do people think about when they think of you? What's going on in that circle as they're discussing you? What are they saying when you leave, when you're not around? What comes up? If you ask people, and again, I would challenge you to do this, people in your life that are around you that you trust, right? That you trust to be honest. Ask them, when they hear your name, what do they think about? Ask them, give me a sentence or two. When you hear my name, what comes to your mind? It's important to have a good reputation and for people to respect you. They don't always have to agree with you, but they respect you. You're not known for being impulsive and going off every time, not even being overly emotional, not letting your emotions get the best of you, because when your emotions get the best of you, you make mistakes. Trying to learn how to live that balanced type of life, and again, to be the best you. Like, how do you live this life and be the best you, the greatest you can possibly be? And it starts with committing ourselves to investing time and effort into building our name up, right? Having a good name, like, credit is the same way, right? When your credit score, that outlines your credit worthiness, doesn't necessarily talk about what kind of person you are, but your credibility may be very low when it comes to receiving loans or any kind of credit to be extended because of your history, right? That says something about who you are. And you have to invest in improving your credit. You have to invest in improving your reputation and what people think of you. That's important, and we can't take that for granted. What people think does matter. When people say, I don't care what people think about me, most people who say that have horrible reputations. Most people who say, I don't care what you think about me, they have bad reputations, man. Because they done gave up on the idea of ever repairing that. And if you want to improve your reputation and improve the strength and the power of your name, invest in it. And it starts with relationships, having conversations with people, and getting honest about not just how you see yourself, but how others see you. Sometimes when you look at yourself and you rate yourself, put that rating up against what other people say, and you'll be amazed what you might see. And if you see discrepancies, what do you do about that? Now, again, I'm not trying to say that you should sit there and let everyone else determine or dictate who you should be or how you should be, but you should take note when your reputation is negative and when people don't necessarily think the best of you. And you should invest in that. Any relationship, invest in making sure that your name means something to that person that's beside you. That your name, they don't have all these negative thoughts about you. You want to be trustworthy. You don't want to be a type of person that people can't trust. You don't want to be the type of person that people can't believe in or get behind or support. You don't want that kind of reputation to be slick and dishonest and foul-mouthed and all that. I mean, some people say, yeah, my mouth is foul, and they laugh about it. Okay, that's funny. But that foul mouth is only going to get you so far. That foul mouth is going to keep you from really getting to the levels that you want to be at because you don't know how to use your words correctly or properly without cursing and going off. And people think that's funny. And I see people post all kind of stuff on social media, and they're absolutely shooting their future. They're absolutely taking a machine gun to their future, putting some of that stuff on social media, some of that negativity and foul stuff. You are setting yourself up for a horrible future. You are destroying any chance you have when you do those things. So you have this momentary lapse in judgment that can cost you a lifetime, man. And I've said it several times that, man, it can take you 20 years to build up a good reputation. 20 years to build up a name, a brand, as it were, and 20 minutes to lose it. It can take you 20 years to build it and only 20 minutes to lose it. One error in judgment. One bad day, one bad decision, one bad moment, you can lose it all. And we've seen it. We've witnessed it with some of these celebrities and the lives that they lived and what we once thought of them. And then they get in trouble and the truth comes to light and it destroys them. And, and there is no such thing as a perpetual secret. There's no secret that's going to live forever. Perpetually. Your secrets will be exposed. The things that you're doing will be exposed at some point. And not only that, but they'll come back to haunt you and it cause you difficulty. And they're going to go bumping at night. They're going to make noises in the closet. They're going to make noises under your bed. They're going to make you spooky and jumpy. They're going to make little sounds at night. Your secrets, things that you've done, horrible things, bad things that you've done that you're trying to keep a secret, things that you're trying to do behind folks' back, they're going to creep up on you and cause all kind of havoc in your life because that's what they do. And they usually start off making creepy sounds, creeps in the floor, cracks in the floor, cracks in the wall. That's usually what happens. When your darkness is catching up with you, it'll begin to give you a heads up that it's coming. And you're going to see these little leaks in your life. And eventually it's going to explode. It always happens. And so my advice is clean that stuff up now before it gets out of control. Clean that stuff up and get that stuff out of your life, man. Filter that stuff out. Flush it out. So that way, you ain't got to worry about that stuff coming back to get you later. Clean it up, man. Fix it now. Whatever it is, fix it. Your name is important. Your name is critical. Your name matters. What people think of you is important. It's a big deal. Heck, what you think of yourself is important. What you know of yourself is important. If you want to experience true love and long term, then get honest about who you are and get honest with that person. No secrets, man. No skeletons in the closet. Let it out and deal with it and face it head on so you can have a better life together. I would recommend that to any aspiring couple, aspiring married couple, current folks who are together now, existing marriages. Tell the truth, man. Clean that stuff up. Clean it up so you can have a better future. And again, invest in your name. So as I wrap up, I just, again, want to encourage everybody, Start to invest and understand the power of your name. Invest in your name. Start working hard or harder at having a good name. And you want your name to ring out. And when it rings out, it's positive and not negative. You want people to believe in you. When they hear your name, that should mean something to you. When your kids mention your name to others, that should mean something. You know, you don't want your kids ashamed of you, ashamed of your name, but you want them excited about your name. You want people to say, wow, man, Kirk Ray Smith, man, that name rings out. When kids use your name as a reference, that should be a big deal. Man, hey, tell them you're my son. Tell them you're my daughter. That should mean something to you. Your name, man, is more precious than gold, silver, or any material thing. So have a great week. Again, Church Express, 12 noon last Sunday, and this Sunday we'll go back to our regular time at 10 a.m. next Sunday. However, we may be going to 12 regularly starting in the fall again. So we'll see. That depends on what happens between now and then. But anyway, so you guys have a great rest of the week. Have fun. Invest in your name. Your name is a big deal. Keep me in prayer as I continue to do what I believe God has called me to do, and I'll do the same for you. God bless you and have a great week. 1.